I'm here with Jim Sanders. He's showing us his amazing renewable energy systems that he has installed on his property.
Is it heating? Is it heating water, right?
Yes.
Even in winter also.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It can be 10 degrees out, and as soon as the sun comes out and heats up that panel, the pump starts circulating water up through there and generating hot water. Fiber insulation. What it looks like.
Right, so cellulose fiber insulation is not the same thing as, what did you call the other one?
Fiberglass.
Fiberglass.
Yeah. I had a piece of fiberglass to show you why it's technically used.
Is it because of the method, that because the cellulose fiber you blow it in and the fiberglass you have to lay it one by one?
That's largely true. It's because of the method.
Yeah.
This is cellulose fiber insulation, and it's blown in. There are different methods of doing it, but you can see that it's packed tightly around these electrical circuits, electrical boxes. Mm-hmm. If you were to install fiberglass bats, the ones that come in rolls.
We have it in our house.
I saw them.
Yeah.
You would have to make, in order to have as good a performance as this, you would have to be very careful to make sure that fiberglass was packed around each of these outlets very tightly, and the fiberglass, the film that comes over the fiberglass bats, was tacked and sealed here very tightly. And in general, no contractor is careful enough to do that. Mm-hmm. It's just not done because it takes too much time, and contractors go and get it done, and they don't care about the efficiency. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is packed in very tightly. There are other methods. This is blown in wet. It has an adhesive that's packed in with it, and the other advantage is the adhesive is also a fire retardant and an insect and rodent retardant. So unlike fiberglass, which mice will get into and burrow
really?
into,
They do?
Oh,
I didn't know
we had the squirrel problem.
when we remodeled this house and we tore out the fiberglass insulation, it stunk so badly of mouse urine and mouse poop. And there were so many ways that they compromised the effectiveness of the insulation by tunneling in and by chewing it up and making nests. It was horrible. It has an adhesive and it sticks there.
It's like gluing, right?
It sticks there, and then any excess that's sticking out is just skived off. So you scrape it off, and then but you have to let this dry for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. A newer method of doing it is called dense pack cellulose, where you put a film over the studs and then you blow it in and pack it in very densely. Mm-hmm. There's some various ways of doing it. But the cheapest way for a contractor to get a job done, an insulation job done, is just slap in fiberglass insulation bats.
Right, whatever's easier.
And the homeowner loves it because the price is low. But they don't realize that every day they're paying for that mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in time it will.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh wow, the butterflies are awake.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
Is it a small solar panel?
Yeah, that solar panel runs some fans inside the greenhouse. I'll show you how that system works. So that's the system I installed. And that's the 15 solar panels that basically provide the power to run the Tesla.
Right. Do you charge the Tesla the whole day?
I'm sorry?
You just keep it charging the whole time while you're home?
Well, it's fully charged, but what Tesla recommends is that you keep it plugged in so that for a couple of reasons. There's a temperature control system
Yeah.
built into the car, and it runs on electricity, so it might as well run on line power rather than run on the batteries
Okay.
inside the car.
It's called drainage.
And
right?
if it's a really cold night,
Uh-huh.
you want to keep that battery management system running, so it's more efficient. And the other reason to keep it plugged in is if it's a 10-degree day, for example, or a minus 10-degree day, and you want to drive the car, well, 10 minutes before you drive the car, you can whip out your cell phone and tell it to turn on the system,
Right.
and then it's warm when you get in it.
But is it charging, or does it?
It's once it's charged to the point that you set it at. Like,
Oh, you can set it like
you can set the-
80%.
yeah, I set it in order to preserve to have the maximum life of the battery. You should never charge them fully or discharge them fully. If you operate them between a charge rate of, say, 30 and 70%, you'll get the optimum battery life. So,
70, not
Yeah.
even 80.
well, you can do it 82. That doesn't make a
Yeah.
significant difference.
Okay.
So we usually operate between those two in that range, unless we're going on a long trip. If we're going on a long trip, we maximize the charge. While we're here, I'll show you this. It might be of interest.
Yes, I love greenhouses. I have good, warm associations with greenhouses.
it's
My
warm,
grandmother
yeah.
had one.
Yeah,
And butterflies.
I love it. Oh, that's where the butterflies are coming from.
I guess so.
Lily,
You have them here. Is
So-
it this warm in the winter when it's cold?
Yeah,
Wow.
as long as the sun's shining.
I love it, Jim.
Naturally,
Oh,
you don't heat it up, right? You don't heat it.
We don't eat. Oh, wow.
Greens. What kind of greens are these?
That is probably arugula. In the wintertime, we grow arugula, Swiss chard, things that aren't temperature sensitive. The way this is designed, it's designed with polycarbonate panels that have 4 layers for good insulation. And it's designed so that the south-facing sun reflects off this reflective surface and keeps this water relatively warm, which serves as a heat sink.
Did you
And-
design it yourself?
No, it comes as a kit. Our son gave it to us
Wow.
as a kit.
That's wonderful.
He has one this is 18 feet in diameter. He has one that's 33 feet in diameter. The basic kit came with all this stuff, and I built the beds basically out of scrap wood that I harvested here. But this heat sink and the beds also serve as heat sink. They collect heat during the day, and in the winter they serve to keep the greenhouse warm at night. There's tubes here, 2 tubes on each side that run underneath the beds and come out there, and that fan, which operates off that solar panel, will draw air through these tubes from this relatively warm area in the wintertime and keep the beds relatively warm.
Wow.
In the summertime, this is a relatively cool area. So it helps keep the greenhouse cooler during the summertime. And this panel and those 2 panels open automatically when the temperature gets too warm here.
Automatic. And this one is opened also automatically, right?
Yes.
Automatically?
Yeah, there's that piston. There's a little piston. That little black piston has a fluid in it that's very temperature reactive. So when it gets over 60 or 70 degrees, the fluid expands and opens these panels to keep it cooler.
Oh, I
So
see.
if I keep it like this with the fan, it will open.
No, you don't. You don't want to do that.
Okay, sorry.
It'll do it itself when it needs to.
Is it like what kind of fish is it?
It's shabunkin. It's a cross between a koi and a goldfish.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 10 years ago, there used to be millions of little brown bats in the east and in the country. And there were, at any given time, we could sit out here with a glass of wine in the evening and count 350 bats coming out of these bat boxes. But some cavers, some cave hobbyists went to Europe and they brought back a fungus on their boots and went into a cave in New York State, and that started it. And the white nose disease that resulted killed off millions of little brown bats. Literally, the population has been decimated by 98%. By the way, when we remodeled this place, we tore it all apart. I mean, we tore the entire roof off the place. We tore all the walls out. We gutted it entirely, and then a couple carpenters and I rebuilt it. So this is the geothermal heat pump. Mm-hmm. And those are the pipes coming in from the ground over there. And it's the pump that pumps it, circulates water through. And you know that it differs from an air-to-air heat pump in that it takes the heat from the earth rather than the air. And it's a little bit more efficient. It's more expensive to install, but it's more efficient than air-to-air heat pumps.
Like long term, it pays itself off, right?
Well,
or how much more expensive?
It's more expensive enough that it might make sense if I were to do this over again. I mean, the air-to-air heat pumps weren't as efficient when we installed this system as they are now. If I were to reconsider the decision and do it today, I might install only air-to-air heat pumps.
Mm-hmm. But it's just not worth it right here.
Yeah, because the capital expenditure of a system like this system cost about $21,000 to put in. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it made a lot of sense over gas or oil heat. Mm-hmm.
But because there is air to air.
Because the air to air has gotten so much better.
We just got a new one, by the way.
Yeah.
We just have like probably 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah.
And it's more efficient.
Oh yeah, the one that installed down in the shop, it's efficient down to 15 degrees below zero. Mm-hmm. This is the drain back system for the hot water, solar hot water panel. Mm-hmm. And what happens is there's a controller that keeps track of the temperature of the collector up there and keeps track of the water down here. And when the collector is warm enough and the temperature differential is over 15 degrees, the pump starts and it pumps a reservoir of water up from here up through the panels and circulates them, fills this with hot water. There's a heat exchanger for our hot water system that takes hot water down into this storage tank. Yeah.
That's the battery.
These are the two Tesla power walls.
It's stacked, right?
And basically, these two power walls are charged by the solar panels. Mm-hmm. And when there's a power failure, the house runs on them. Now, we could use the system in a different way. We could use it to supply our power at night and then recharge during the day and supply at night. I don't do it that way.
Why not?
More trouble than it's worth.
Really? It's
and
not
there's
worth
no
it?
night.
Oh, there isn't, right.
Yeah, so basically it works like a buffer, right? So if
That's a good option.
And there was a 30% tax credit if you buy these and charge them with solar panels. And you know, if you have a generator, for example, and you have a power failure, your lights go out, the generator kicks in, starts up, of course starts burning gas and that sort of thing, and then your lights come back on. Mm-hmm. But this thing, if you have a power failure, you don't even know it. It's that quick.
Really?
It's instantaneous. When we were in Argentina, I'll show you up on my cell phone. When we were in Argentina, I brought the system up, and I could see that I lost power for 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. 1 point. 2 seconds.
Jim, any new projects in mind for the future?
No, at this point, nothing big. I think I really enjoy helping other people with their projects right now.
That's great because my husband and I were we have plans of buying a house of our own, so we might
Okay.
take you up on that offer.
Get one that's south facing.
Okay, south facing.
Be uncompromising about that.
Okay.
So a lot of people buy homes because they like the way they look, but you got to think about how you're going to power it and how you're going to save money for the future by putting in renewable energy.